Hello, welcome to 15 Minutes of Consulting Best Practices. My name is Maria Isabel Rios. Thank you for joining me this beautiful Monday. As we get started, and as you can see, David, it's still out on vacation. And I want to know, what are your favorite activities to do when you are on vacation? So if you like, please put in a comment as we work to get started today. It'd be wonderful to know. All right. Deidre, can you please pull up the first question? When in the process should I look for potential subcontractors? I've been burned by doing all the work of looking for the right subcontractor, and then I didn't win the project. And this question is from John. Thank you, John. What we suggest is, as soon as you start having context discussions, which means that you are actually discussing the 6 topics of inquiry of your potential project. That is a great time to reach out to subcontractors, understand their availability, understand what role could they play for the project, and you have something that you know it's coming up. Whether you win it or not, you're in the proposal stage and you should be forming your team at that time. Hello, Dana. I love hiking and snorkeling and eating at cool restaurants. That sounds delicious. Thank you for sharing with us today. Another good moment, if you don't have a subcontractor bench lined up yet, and if you don't have a short list, what we suggest is start building one. Start connecting with folks even when you don't have a project in hand yet. Explore how do they work with other firms, what's their general availability, how do they manage their time, and start exploring terms. What will working together look like? Once you have built that bench, then you can activate it as you're preparing, having that context discussion, and you're preparing to actually present a proposal. All right, that's our suggestion on that first question. Deidre, can I please see question number 2? I asked a prospect for the question behind the question. Good. And I still didn't understand her question. What should I do in that situation? And this question is from Lori. Thank you, Lori. The question behind the question, right? Oftentimes, folks tell us something, particularly in a proposal project or in a discovery process, or perhaps they say they have an objection. And what they really want to know is something else. And that's what we call the question behind the question. And what we suggest you do is you ask, much like Lori did, right? Tell me more. Tell me what's behind this. What's motivating? Apparently, Lori got an answer. She still wasn't quite clear on what the question was. Suggestion is ask again. Say, okay, either reframe it, rephrase it to make sure that you understood, or ask your prospect to explain it in a different way, in a way that either kind of matches the conversation you've had, or that takes you step by step through their concern. We find that when we're aligned, when we understand what folks are really getting at, what's their true concern, right? What's their concern behind the concern? That's when we come to a position where we can resolve issues, where we can actually win proposals and cement that trust that you have been building. So don't be afraid. You're also showing your prospect that if at any point during your engagement you're not aligned, or it's not clear what the organization means or what team members need, you will do all the due diligence that you need to do to find out and to deliver a great outcome for them. So don't be shy. Asking when you don't know, it's actually a really powerful tool that will help not only your prospect, which hopefully becomes your client, but also help you. Don't let things simmer or rest and build up. Always, always, always go for clarity, because that's what allows you to contribute even more value to the relationship. All right, hopefully that is helpful. When in doubt, ask. All right, question number 3, and I'm going to ask those of you who are listening that as you hear me read it, if you have experience with this, please type it in. We want to hear about your experience as well and take that into consideration. So the third question, is it easier to win business with Fortune 550 through aggregators than direct? And this question is for Matt. Thank you, Matt. So it depends. And I'm sorry, Matt, you get the proverbial, it depends. It depends on your network strength. If you have a core network with decision makers that are within Fortune 50 companies, then yes, it will most likely be easier for you to win the engagements with them direct. It all depends on the strength of your relationship. If you don't have relationships within Fortune 50 companies and you want to win business, it's the same as with everything else. You would be in a position to win them quicker, going perhaps through aggregators, if that is your sweet spot. So what do we mean? Aggregators, platforms like Catalent, like Umbrex, High Point Associates, A Connect, right, where they have projects and they bring independent consultants in. So it all depends on the strength of your network, how much easier or how much harder it is to win projects with certain kind of tiers of prospects. A good consideration to keep in mind, if you really want to win business with Fortune 50 companies, then start building your network core. Start building your network with executives and decision makers at Fortune 50 companies. It takes time to build your network. We know that a very strong network comes from relationships, from developing that trust and that connection, likely over time. So if that's within your kind of target and within what you would like to achieve as an independent consultant, be it solo or as a small boutique, then put some effort into building connections, into asking for introductions, or into connecting via LinkedIn or through events with decision makers at those companies that can then kind of help you see that path in which the opportunities can be brought to you because you have that connection at the right point in time. So think about building. In the meantime, if your network core is not strong, for that particular group of prospects, go through aggregators. It may be a lot easier. And again, aggregators are usually competitive. So be very purposeful, be very clear in your expertise as you're pitching or as you're building your proposal and presenting yourself, so that you can show where your expertise shine and where you add the most value. All right. I think we have time for one more question. Thank you, Deidre. How much should I insist that the CEO, who is the decision maker, is present during a context discussion? The COO doesn't want the CEO to participate. And this question is from Sue. Thank you, Sue. This is a situation we oftentimes see, right? Where you have a gatekeeper, somebody who has been tasked by the organization with finding the right consultant or setting up a project in the right track, but they are ultimately not the decision maker. And the question is, how much do you need them there? This is what we know. When you speak directly with a decision maker, you're able to do three things that you wouldn't otherwise be able to do. One, you get their voice. oftentimes, depending on roles, the desired outcomes, the risk and concerns that folks have for projects, where do they see the value, vary, even if ever so slightly. It's important that you have the voice not only of the person who will support you in executing or who will become the project sponsor, but also the person who's making the decision on who to hire. That allows you to respond to their concerns or to their questions behind the questions. And it's not unrelated to the question we talked about a few minutes ago, right? So very, very important. One element is you'll get their perspective, you'll get their voice. Another element is it allows you to have a more comprehensive view of what the engagement is about and what the organization has tried and it's looking for in a consultant, in an expert, in you. That's the second element you won't get unless you talk to a decision maker. And the third element you may not get is real nuance around the budget and what the organization is willing to spend. That is generally very much tied to how much value they're going to get out of it. So our clear recommendation is try and get the CEO in this example, right, who is the decision maker, at the table. Now, requiring the CEO may not get you there, right? So you may have to deploy one of a couple of strategies. First is to have your conversation with a COO in this example. And when you're ready, have a shortened version of the context discussion also with the CEO. And share with the COO, look, these are the reasons why we need to sit with a CEO as well, so that we can work effectively together with you guys, so that we can have a project that it's fully integrated and that presents alternatives that you will actually consider and add value across the way. In some cases, we know of client organizations who say, look, unless we're sitting with the decision makers and you can make the effort of giving us those 30 minutes, those 45 minutes of the decision maker's time, we know you're not as serious as this project as we expect you to be as your consultant. And therefore, that is an element against moving proposals forward. When you know that you have spoken to all the stakeholders is where you have increased chance of success in the proposals that you present. So be very mindful, be mindful about ways in which you can go about requiring or requesting or convincing, right? Why this is an important step in the process. Always, always, always try to sit down with a decision maker. We know it's an important differential in your ability to succeed with a proposal, in your ability to have the proposal be approved and have the proposal reflect the actual needs and context for clients. All right. Hopefully that it's helpful. So because we have a couple of minutes left and we haven't done this in quite a few weeks, I wanted to share with you a little bit about who we are. So our firm, the David A. Fields Consulting Group, specializes in the business of consulting. And we serve solo practitioners all the way to small and medium boutique firms. We accompany you through your growth journey and through developing the different elements that are necessary for your business to succeed. And we have done this with over 300 firms. Over the course of our lifetime, we have a healthy and growing roster of clients, and we like to be very hands-on and very practical in our approach and in the way we support clients. And hopefully through these conversations, you get a little bit of a flavor around that. Okay, 3 things before we wrap up today. The first one is, if you haven't connected with David or with myself via LinkedIn, please look us up. Please send us a connection request. David, you can find at David A. Fields, and you can find me at MIRIOS, MI Rios. We're both here, happy to connect with you. My second request is that if you haven't subscribed yet to David's weekly articles, you please do. They're packed with practical suggestions and approach. There's over 400 articles you can look and search for, with how-tos and tips and tricks and scripts for almost every aspect you can imagine of building a consulting firm. So where do you find it? Go to davidafields.com/subscribe, and you'll have an opportunity to sign up there. My third request is that if you have questions for the next session, like today, you please write to us at info@davidafields.com. We appreciate receiving your questions. It's a delight to be able to come here and answer them. And we want to be having conversations, so please do write. Thank you, Dana, and thank you to all of you. See you next Monday, God willing.